Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. Let's talk about Litecoin's price chart and see what is going on in here because I do see some interesting signs. However, I'm still going to tell you why maybe it's not necessarily in here, at least right now, the best time to go long in LTC. Now, before we get into that, if you remember the last time that we talked about Litecoin, we were somewhere around, I believe, here, and the idea was that odds are our move down is going to continue, and let's hope that from this important level we are going to have a bit of a bounce in the next 48 to 72 hours, and then we are going to check out the shape of that bounce. Now, why is that bounce so important for us? Because in LTC, here is one likely possibility suggesting from the highs to about here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into a larger degree wave 1, followed by a correction for wave 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 immediate quick move on the downside into wave 5, which on a higher degree, guess what? At least according to this scenario, this is going to be into a wave 3, followed by a correction for 4, and then at least this scenario is suggesting we are going to have minimum another move on the downside into our wave 5. But here's the deal, even if we are going to get this move, it's actually, in my opinion, going to be a rather quick move on the downside, followed by a very immediate bounce back. So let me tell you right now, in Litecoin, I am simply not going to open a short position in here in order to catch the next move on the downside. In my opinion, there's actually a very high chance that my stop loss during this move down, if I want to open a short position, is going to get hit. So again, it's really not an ideal setup, since in my opinion, this is going to be the last move down, even if it's going to happen. Now, here's the deal. What if I am actually wrong, and in Litecoin, right in here, about $48, we have hit our final low? Okay, you know what? Fair enough. Let's entertain that idea, because after all, like I said in every single update, there is no certainty in any market at any given moment. We are just talking about different possibilities, and I'm not claiming to be 100% of the time right. No, I'm just here to get it right 6 out of 10 times, and that unfortunately is pretty much it. Now, Elios Wave Voice, if you want to argue that this is our final low, then okay. In here, you need to be able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside. This specific scenario is called an impulse. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between our wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, excuse me, this wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. And when it comes to the sub waves, if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you know what I'm about to say. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5, excuse me. And for our corrections, we can consider different possibilities. Let's consider this time ABC for wave 2, followed by a WXY into wave 4. So with that said, let's go on the live chart, and maybe it's best to go on 15-minute time frame so we can see the candles a bit. But okay, question number 1. How exactly are we able to argue from the lows to about the highs this is a 5 wave? I mean, do not get me wrong, there is absolutely a chance that we are having an impulse in here, and here is how I can argue that. This can be to about this point of wave 1, followed by that maybe an A, B, C running flat into wave 2, and then maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to about here or here, doesn't really matter, into our wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5. Do I like this scenario? Not really as my primary case. And again, this can very well be a possibility, but I'm going to consider this as my alternate scenario for a very important reason. I think we can all agree the shape and overall the size of our wave 2 and 4 do not really match each other. So something smells fishy in here, and I'm going to say maybe in Litecoin we are having a bit of a correction structure on the upside. And here is the deal. Just because I said this is a correction doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to from here get an immediate move down in order to visit the lows in here once more, about $47. No, in fact, there's actually a possibility suggesting in Litecoin we are going to have something like this. Excuse me. There we go. We're gonna have maybe in here a bit of a consolidation soon, and then another move on the upside, followed by maybe a bit of a slow and choppy move down, and then even, believe it or not, yet another move on the upside. But here's the thing, if we are going to get this, may I suggest be careful, because there is actually a real chance that in LTC we're gonna have a double zigzag structure, and for an ABC zigzag, we're gonna have sub waves like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into A, corrective movement into wave B. We can consider different patterns for it, doesn't really matter honestly. And then another 5 wave up into C. And if I just go on the live chart, okay, so here's the thing. As opposed to a 5 wave impulsive structure, in my opinion, this can very well be just a simple A, B, C in form of a zigzag. Followed by that, I think we can all safely assume this is a correction down. And in terms of the shape of it, yeah, I think it can very well be a WXY, a double zigzag itself. And then what is happening in here? I'm thinking probably this is 1, this is 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into wave 3. This short-term consolidation pattern that I'm thinking we are probably going to have is just going to be a correction for 4, followed by another move up into wave 5. And then again, like I told you earlier, we are probably going to get soon a bit of a consolidation, a longer pattern into, I'm thinking probably a larger degree wave B, and then another move up into wave C in order to complete the subwaves starting from the lowest low for a WXY, you know what, in form of a double zigzag structure. So in Litecoin, I would argue right now at least we're not completely out of the woods yet, and there is a chance that we are going to have another move down. And here is a very important point. I think in the coming move down that we are going to get, all eyes should be on this important low right in here, about $51. Why do we care about this? Because let's say from here we are going to have a move down in order to take this low. At that point, since odds of us finding a 5 wave in here is going to be so low, I'm just gonna say, look, it's confirmed this is a correction structure on the upside, and our move down from this level about, let's say, $51 is going to continue, and in it we may even take the lows in here about $45. But let's just say this, we're just going to visit the lows in these areas. Maybe we're not even necessarily going to take them. Okay, right now, at least in my view, it's a little risky to go long in Litecoin, and at the same time, guess what, it's also quite a bit riskier to go short in LTC. At the moment, it's just a bit of waiting game. Now, so far we talked about a potential bearish setup suggesting this is just a correction structure. What if I'm completely wrong and this is actually a bit of a bullish setup? Then okay, in that case, I want to see two things in LTC. Number one, I would like to see a massive, a strong continuation of this move on the upside in order to at least take the previous measure pivot high about $61. If I see this, great sign, but even at that point, I'm not going to be overwhelmingly bullish. Number two, I want to see actually after this strong move up, just a consolidation and then another move on the upside in order for me to be able to say, look, great, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was wrong. Now, at this point, you might ask, well, okay, if we are going to get to about these areas, about $65, that's about like 50% higher from the lows, and basically I'm gonna miss the absolute bottom. You know what? You might be right, but it's very important to understand that even according to the most bullish scenario, after completing a 5 wave on the upside, what are we going to have? You know what? We're gonna have one way or the other, bullish or bearish, a bit of a pullback down, and then okay, if this ends up being a 5 wave, and also in this phase I see the right structures and setups, fair enough, right around the lows about, let's say, $54, $55 can be a beautiful long opportunity. So again, one way or the other, I do not believe that I'm going to miss the lows. For now, I do not believe in LTC we are having a long nor a short opportunity. Right now, it's just a bit of a waiting game. So you know what? Let's just wait together and see what are we going to do with this setup. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in LTC's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.